Come on, you know I'm going to ask every morning now, right? Who wants to share?
I figured out how to put my notes in the drawing this morning. That's
awesome.
A good win for me.
Well, we saw that there are some people that have not done it correctly. We've been pretty clear on what it's going to take, and they're not doing it correctly. So I guess somebody else is going to win. All right. Don't forget, you guys, you got to have those notes in ASAP so you can be eligible for the drawing at 10.
Would that be enough correctly for me, Bill? I put mine in yesterday, and it's when you open it up, it actually says Mary Steele's notes, but it did not put it on the. I was trying to get my dogs out to the bathroom. They were dying because I've been on the computer all day. So I need to pull?
I don't actually have access to the file. I'm not the one who determines whether it's done correctly or not. I think it just needs to have your name and the date so that we can identify that it was you that wrote the notes.
Okay. Well, mine does. It has my name, Mary Steele, but it says when you actually look at everyone's, mine doesn't have anything on it, but you click on it and it has Mary Steele. So, and it has
the name
Wednesday,
of the file
Wednesday
is
notes.
Mary Steele, right?
Yes. Well, not on the outside of it. When you click on the file, it says Mary Steele's notes for Wednesday.
If somebody were to open up the
link.
No, they should be able to see it without having to open up the link. Like, so for example, let me show you something.
Okay. I don't know if I did it right. My doggies were dying to go potties because I'd been on the computer all day looking at watching and taking notes.
All right, hang
you
on
can go in there and change it now.
What? Yeah, you could probably still change it. It looks like this. So like, for example, if I'm looking at a particular file, let's say I'm looking at this file, like the name of the document.
Yeah, mine doesn't have the name on the document down below, but once you click on the document, it says Mary Steele's notes for Wednesday.
Make sure it has it on the document itself.
Okay.
You can just rename any of those files.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we can just scan the list right, without having to open up each particular file. Make sure the title of it says your name and the date.
Okay.
Just go into Aubrey's email and copy and paste the way he said to name the file, and then change it to your first and last name and leave everything else the same, and then you won't have any problem.
Exactly. Exactly right. Aubrey has been incredibly thorough on how to do it. Okay, guys, I want to do some ahas from Family Reunion. I want to share some information about the Ford script that was brought up in the chat last night. Who else wants to share some good news, and then we'll move right into that. Anyone else? Has anyone taken anything from Family Reunion right away and used it as a script, or used it to establish a system, or get rid of a system, or adjust a system? Who's making some kind of thinking about their business a little bit differently now?
I'll share on that, Bill.
Yeah, please.
One of the main thing he said, Gary has said that lead gen should take precedence over everything else.
That's right.
And that kind of hit me, and that after the first day I went and done 2 hours, and I'm making a point to do that lead gen on daily basis, on consistent basis.
That's exactly right. So tell me a little bit more about that, in your opinion. How were you thinking about it prior?
I did not do it on like a consistent blocking time.
Okay.
I just did it whenever I kind of got done with my other things, and then I got to it. I was trying to do 4 to 6 p.m.
Yep.
And I switched it to 9 to 11 instead, and hopefully that works better.
Okay, if I was a betting man, I would say it's going to work a lot better. I do think it is important to have probably at least one like evening lead generation time block per week, let's say, because like Gary said or I heard in one of the sessions, Gene Rivers' session yesterday. Like, let's say you have a teacher in your database or a judge in your database or a doctor in your database or something. They are really almost certainly never going to answer the phone between 9 and 11, right? Because they're committed at their job. So it's important, if you were to make calls from 9 to 11 every day for the rest of your career, you'd probably never get them on the phone. So how can we make a slight adjustment, maybe once a week or so, where we're looking for people who we haven't been successful reaching during the morning and get them when they're coming home from work, okay? Or you could use that time to to call them on their way to work. Like if you were interested in doing like a 7:30 call or an 8 call or something like that, you might be able to catch them before they start. What you just suggested me here is it's almost the exact reverse of what is going to be best suited. What I mean by that is, if you've read the book The One Thing, we only have so much willpower. Meaning, if you go through the entire day putting out other people's fires, right, you may not have, and you likely will have, lower amounts of energy and lower amounts of willpower by the time you get around to making the calls. And that decreases either your willingness to make them, your tenacity in making them, your focus and attention in making them. And what's going to happen if you are disciplined enough to make them, you're going to be performing below peak performance levels. That's why basically everything that you possibly read with respect to KW says do it in the morning, right? When your willpower is the highest, your energy is the highest, and where you can get it out of the way and then move on to the emergencies of the day. Okay, so remember that lead generation never, ever, ever, or I'm sorry, let me say it the other way. Maintaining a file or lead follow-up or any of the tasks that we have to do for clients throughout the day should never take precedent over lead generation. What I want you to think about is that basically you have two different jobs. One is lead generation, and you have to show up for that job between 2 and 3 hours a day, first thing in the morning. There is nothing else that gets in the way of that job. And then the other job, let's just say, is a 5 or 6 hour job. And that's the time period that you have to maintain all the files and follow up with all the files and make flyers and all that stuff. Make sense? That's how important it is. That's why so much of our discussions and in our coaching discussions revolve around numbers, right? And revolve around, okay, how's the database? How's the pipeline? Are we flirting with enough people, right? Are we bringing enough people into the pipeline so that we can start to get some, we can start to rely on some income because we have so many people that we're currently in courtship with. Does that make sense? We don't want to rely on 1 or 2 people that claim that they're going to buy or sell a home, because the world could change that. They say, oh, sorry, just changed my mind. We're not going to buy till next year. Well, how am I going to pay my mortgage next month? You see what I'm saying? So like, I know this sounds nuts, but you almost have to have you really do have to have so many people that you are in courtship with that you can barely keep it all straight, so that enough people come into your world frequently enough for you to get paid as often as you want to get paid. You guys follow that? Right? It's like Joe calls you and he's like, hey, Bill, I'm ready to get started. And you're like, great. And meanwhile, you're looking up, hey, Joe, is he the one with the wife, Sarah, or is he the one with the wife, Jane? How many kids does Joe have? Is he the one that wants to buy in Duluth or Smyrna? I can't remember. Like, I know that sounds insane, but we have to be courting a lot of people at the same time. What do you guys hear when I say that?
For me, I hear you saying, don't get so wrapped up in like the one transaction or 2 transactions you have going on at the moment. You got to make sure that you're consistently staying in touch with that pipeline and increasing that pipeline so that you have more work kind of on deck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why historically we see that agents' incomes go like this, right? They have a month where they have a sale or 2, they get paid, they're all excited, and then they come to work the next day and they say, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone to help anymore, right? And then they have to go work at an uncomfortable pace to go find more opportunity. And then once they get the opportunity, they quit lead generating because they're busy with the opportunity. And then the same thing happens again. Right? I mean, lead generation was at the heart of every single thing that was talked about. Who else wants to share?
I heard something yesterday, Bill, that I thought was a great idea. It was this guy, Martin, who was talking about challenges and opportunities in the market. And he was talking about the seller side. And with inventory being so low, sellers are sometimes unrealistic with respect to what they can sell their home for. And he said that's something that he does when someone does have an unrealistic expectation as far as their what they can sell their house for. He does his homework and calls the listing agents of houses that recently sold just to get an idea how many offers they received. And so, you know, he knows that if they received a lot of offers, there's a good sized buyer pool for that property. But if they only received like one offer, then they need to take that into consideration, that maybe the demand right there is not as high, and that helps him talking about that price subject with the seller.
Oh, wow, that's really interesting. So let me put a real scenario to that. Let's say I'm meeting with you and you've got a 4-bed, 2.5-bath in a particular school district in Roswell. And in an effort to determine, to kind of like double check our pricing strategy, or to help us come to terms of the price, I reach out to the agents of the listing agents of similar homes that have sold recently to try to find out how popular those properties were. Then I go back to you and I say, hey, I talked to 10 listing agents that sold similar homes for their sellers in the last 6 months, and all of them said that they had less than 2 offers. And that would be a different approach than if all of them said we had above 10 offers. I think that's great. That's some tedious work.
Bill, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
How amenable are other agents to fielding phone calls like that? I mean, are you talking to agents all the time about things like this? People call you about these kind of things, or are you on the phone constantly with other agents?
It happens, and it just depends on the agent as to how amenable they are to doing it. Most agents are kind of willing to help each other because they know there's times when they might want help.
Yeah,
that's a great response. That is true. I
mean, I can imagine that agents at Keller Williams would be, talk to other Keller Williams agents. I don't know if you've ever gotten any pushback from other agents from other brokerages that just, don't answer your call, or,
I mean, here's my approach, and this is a little, I don't know, maybe a little bit rawer than Pam's approach, which is like, I'm going to screen my calls anyway, right? So if I get that call and they leave a message that says, hey, call me back, I got a question about your listing that closed 3 months ago, like, I got to tell you, with all due respect, I'm super busy, and you guys should think of yourselves as super busy. And quite honestly, that should go towards the bottom of your list, right? Definitely don't make that call until you've made your contacts for the day, right? That's somebody else. I'm not trying to be selfish here, but that is somebody else's priority. You got to focus on your priorities first. Like in the airplane, they say you put your mask on, then you help other people put their mask on, right? So you got to ask yourself, I know it feels great to feel wanted, but you can love yourself right out of the business if you don't focus on the things that dictate your success. Okay, so I'm not saying I don't take those calls, but they go to the bottom of the list. I don't think there's a ton of, would I be more likely to take it from a KW agent or a non-KW agent? To me, it doesn't make a difference. I don't even think about that stuff. Okay. I do believe in what Pam said with respect to, there will be a time where you really need that information, right? I would probably let the message go, and then I'd probably listen to their message and text them back and said, yeah, it was really popular. We had 17 showings in 3 days with 6 offers. Let me know if you need anything else, right? And then I took 15 seconds to do what some of you guys might spend 30 minutes doing. You see what I'm saying? So I would give them, I would most likely be a nice colleague, right? In terms of being another agent in the community that's trying to get sales happen. But I got to tell you, it would be at the bottom of my list. And I don't know if that sounds jerky or not.
Well,
But-
honestly, I think your approach is perfect because I don't think that other agent has a lot of time to waste either. So if you're just responding by text with a few words, that's not taking up much of your time, and you're building relationships, because there may be a time when you're working with that agent in the future and they already know you're a nice guy and you're cooperative. So
That's right.
and
I
you
don't
know,
have, and
and
it's
you would
kind of
use
like,
this strategy as leverage when you have that difficult seller when it comes to talking about price. You know, you have just some data to back up your, you know, that conversation you're trying to have with them about being realistic.
right. And oh man, there's like, you could spend all day doing favors for other agents and not make any money. You see what I'm saying? You just got to be really careful about that. You got to ask yourself that's why we talk about the 411, is you identify what your priorities are. And when your priorities have been met, then you can go be a saint to everyone else. Okay.
Understood.
Does that make sense? And I know it comes across a little harsh, but you got to ask yourself, hey, at every moment you're doing something, am I doing this to help further the growth and success of my business so that I can pour into the people that are meaningful to me? Or am I going from somebody else's fire to somebody else's fire to somebody else's fire and not putting my mask on ever?
Yeah. This guy said he prides himself on being a market expert up there, and I think he was in Michigan.
Yeah, they all do.
Okay. Well, this was his tip. So.
Oh, I think the tip's great. But one thing I do want to, while I'm almost about to get off my soapbox, did you guys hear that I generally will screen my calls?
Yeah, you've said that.
Just let it ring. You're focused on something else. Okay, you can identify what's an emergency by listening to their message 10 seconds later. Nothing's going to change. Okay. We're oftentimes we actually look to create disturbances so that we can justify the fact that we didn't do what we know we have to do. Does that make sense? We try to make our business so complex to justify inaction. Okay.
I agree. Like, I heard someone say, this is probably about a week and a half or 2 weeks. She was just like, it's a saying that says, eat the frog.
Yeah.
And every time I don't want to do something, that comes in my head, and it's just like, Ebony, eat the frog, eat the frog.
Right.
And I get it done right then and there, because then it's just like, okay, I have the rest of my day. I can do something that I want to do if I do what I have to do. So I do think we can, make excuses, but once we get over it, it becomes consistency, it becomes a part of our routine, to whereas that's just our normality, and something that seems as if it was a burden, or, oh, I don't want to do it. It's regular now, so.
Yep. The book that Corey was running the book club on, Limitless, talks about that concept a lot, right? So let's say that you're able to perform at this level, okay? And you've got this frog that's got to get eaten. You got to make this call to tell the seller the home didn't appraise. You got to tell the buyer the closing's not going to happen because the loan got messed up or something like that, right? And it doesn't go away. So if you decide to not do it in the morning, then you now perform at this level because you're distracted all day, right? What Ebony's suggesting is eat the frog, just do it. Just do it. Let's get it out of the way. And then you can go back to performing at that highest level. Does that make sense? Okay, who else wants to share? Did you guys hear the line about it isn't about you? Did you guys hear that yesterday? There's a lot of talk about this like, what is it like? It was basically saying like, people don't care all that much about you. They care about them, the experience they have, right? So you standing up and saying, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, that doesn't mean anything to them. They want a great experience. They want to know how it's going to help them. So don't stop short at saying, well, I've sold 400 homes. Say the experience I've gained from selling a lot of homes will help you in the following ways, right? You got to make it about them. What is the experience like? I mean, I know we're listening to a lot of top producers, but they're making some pretty awesome headway with what, you know, like, did you hear the woman that like sends milk and cookies when due diligence is over? That's your, I mean, I don't think she's in our market, but that's your competition. So what is it like to be in transaction with you? Right? What unique services, unique access, unique insights do people get from working specifically with you? Right? All right, give me one more, give me one or two more. Come on now, I know all you guys are on there, aren't you?
Hey, Bill, I have one.
Yeah.
I joined in for the diversity and inclusion council, and they were just talking about how you should just look at your database and see how diverse it is, and you know, join those different organizations or things in the neighborhood to just try to get yourself out there so that you can be a leader in the community, to brand yourself so that people get a chance to know and like you as the leader in the community.
Right. The only thing I would add to that is you become the leader by first being the participant.
Right.
Right. And so first you participate, and just kind of like we do in regular business is we say, hey, how can I help people? What problems need to be solved in this organization? And you begin to compile your network, right? All the professionals you know, all the neighbors and colleagues and friends you know, and see if you, using your unique set of tools, can make some of these problems. I don't, in this particular scenario, I don't think they're going to go away. They're just going to hopefully get a little bit better or a little less problematic, right? But how can we make that contribution? And how can we affect our neighbors and friends and colleagues? And then by that, you get, I don't want to say awarded leadership, but you become the leader. When you become the leader, you have more influence. Then when you wear your Keller Williams shirt, they're like, wow, we want to support you now. You see what I'm saying? So first you become the participant. Well, first you become the curious person, right? Are there any organizations that speak about, you know, minority groups or whatever, right? What initiatives are being done, or what initiatives are not being done, or what problems are these people facing? And is this something that speaks to me, and how can I get involved? Once you get involved, then you get to contribute and you start making an impact, and then you step into leadership opportunities where you get a bigger platform and a bigger stage. Does that make sense? I mean, I was in a couple of the diversity sessions. I think that's super important, right? Everyone's had a different experience growing up and, you know, living their lives. And if you are kind of, how do I want to say this and be politically correct? Let's just say if you looked at your database and it was 100% white, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity. Or you look at your database and it's 100% not white, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity. So it'd probably be a strategic business decision and just a good person thing to do to expand your knowledge of other cultures and groups. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, let's do one more. Who else? Who hasn't spoken yet? You guys aren't just taking 3 days off, right?
No, we're not taking 3 days off. We're taking 4. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not all you want to share, Heather, right?
No.
All right, give me something.
I think for me, I'm learning a lot about like mindset, which is really what I need this week because it's been a difficult week just for personal reasons.
Yeah.
And so just like really difficult reasons. And so for me, a lot of it was like focusing on, and kind of at Mega Camp too, the theme kind of carried over about focusing on things you can change focusing on the things you can control, not the things you can't change. And that's been like my big takeaway again, is just trying to focus on the things that are the here, the right now, and not the things that I can't change.
I love that. Was there a particular quote that you heard, or a particular idea that made that resonate?
Yeah, but I'm not at my computer, so I can't pull up it's like the first thing I wrote down on yesterday's notes, and I'm drawing a mind blank. So obviously it's, right there in my mind, so I can't remember it.
You got to read it a few more times.
Yeah, it's in my notes, but
yeah.
That's basically in a nutshell what it meant.
Yeah, sure. Maybe if you don't mind, share the phrase on the group a little bit later, because I think it's fair to say that we are all experiencing some form of stress or anxiety or difficulty right now, likely some more than others, and we can all benefit from those types of comments, right? I mean, you never know when the person next to you is, one line away from breaking down, right? And that's what we do, right? We go out and we solve problems and we help people get through whatever they're getting through. And because housing is fundamental. Business ownership is fundamental, right? How can we help people move forward, right? All right, I wanted to just real quickly, I shared a document in the announcements page called FORD, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. This was discussed yesterday in the chat. And the idea here is it's questions to ask past clients and centers of influence, okay? So the FORD is Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. So these questions work well because they stimulate something called the reticular activating system, which is the RAS. The RAS works as a filter, screening out information that is not of value to you right now and letting through anything that is important. When you ask someone to focus on a goal or an image, as these questions do, the person puts themselves in that place mentally. Awareness around this goal or image is heightened, and the RAS lets in more information around the topic. Once you get them thinking, they may suddenly remember someone who has a need to move. And so these questions work by planting a seed. It's kind of like, have you guys ever, if you've ever been like car shopping, let's say, do you start to watch cars more as you're driving along the highway? Let's say you're thinking about getting a blue car, you start seeing a bunch of blue cars, right? Or you, it could be anything. Like we've been doing some landscaping in our backyard, cutting down a tree or two and, moving some stuff around. And I've never looked at landscaping more than I have in the last month, right? It's the brain. The brain is helping me focus on certain things so that I can make certain decisions. Does that make sense? But scientists say that there's roughly, I think it's like 120 million bits of information that's coming at you every second. And you're able to only take in about 140 of them. Okay. So if I were to say, okay, have a great day, guys. And I'd say, hey, $1,000 to somebody who could tell me what I was wearing today. You probably wouldn't even be able to tell me, right? if somebody's, you know, if somebody disappeared and you're like, what were they wearing? And you're like, I have no idea. I don't pay attention to that. You see what I'm saying? So it's helping them pay attention to certain things. So family questions, right? Are you married? How are your parents? Is there anything else, anyone else in your family moving soon? How's the family? Have you thought about when Brian goes away to school, right? Would you be staying where you're at, or going to a different location, or, you know, any other interest there? Have you thought about starting a family? How old are the kids? Do your parents need a vacation home? What schools do your kids attend? How do you like the schools in your area, right? Do you have other family that lives around here, right? Occupation. By the way, these are natural, you flow through the conversation, right? These care calls, oftentimes you can bring up these conversations, right? How are things at work? How long have you worked there, right? How's the market? They could tell you they hate their job, or they think they're about to lose their job. And now you say to yourself, I should check in with this person next month because they may have already lost their job and need a different house. Or they might just need some love, right? A call to let them know that you're thinking about them. It's not always about trying to squeeze a transaction out of it, right? You know, how much time are you putting into work lately? Are you busy? How's business? What do you do exactly, right? Anyone you know at work leaving the company? You know, have you hired anyone new recently? Does the company have any plans to expand? Do you know of anyone relocating? You know, what do you do for fun? Do you ski, play, you know, go diving, play golf, right? Play cards? You know, what's your favorite restaurant? Are you a member of a health club? You know, have you been to the beach lately? What'd you do this weekend? Did you have any vacation plans this year? What'd you do for your birthday? Are the kids playing any sports, right? You're just asking questions, right? You could study a list like that and memorize a list like this, so you never feel like the conversation is hitting like a low point or a lull. You see what I'm saying? Dreams. Hey, when do you plan on retiring? Where are kids going to college? You know, what do you want to be doing in 5 years or 10 years? Have you ever considered investing in real estate? Right? What do you guys remember the statistic that I've shared a few times? 75% of the country's wealth is held in real estate. 75% of the country's wealth is held in real estate. The net worth of according to research, the net worth, it's like 2 years ago, but I suspect it hasn't changed much. 2 years ago, the average net worth of a renter was just over $5,000. The average, okay? That means that if you don't own a piece of property, the half of you have net worth less than $5,000. That's not even half of what it costs to put you in the ground, right? If you own a piece of property, your net worth goes up over 43% or 43 times on average. The average net worth of a homeowner is about $240,000. That stat could be part of a marketing campaign to attract renters to first-time homebuyer seminars and that kind of stuff, right? Hey, if you could live anywhere, where would that be? If you could have your dream job, what would that be? You know, what are your kids talking about, right? Do you have a plan to obtain financial freedom? Do you like that list? What do you think? What do you think about that list? Boy, it's been a tough week for you guys.
Helps to have something to talk about, you know, and you don't look like you're just reaching out for business.
Exactly. Exactly. You're asking questions about their lives because it's all about them. Right? Because listen, if every time you call, the first thing out of your mouth is give me some leads, give me some referrals, they're going to start not answering the phone. Right? If you are known for making calls and sharing value, then they answer the phone because they want value. Right? They're like, oh, it's Bill. I wonder if he's going to, you know, what are you going to offer today? It's probably going to be something that'll help me or help me save some money or help me make a strong decision or maybe share an opportunity with me. Let me pick up this call. I don't want to miss Bill's call. But if the guy thinks I'm just going to ask him for business, he'll quit taking my call. All right, you guys. How about tomorrow, everyone gets a little bit extra sleep and we come in and we're ready to go and we have our cameras on and we are ready. What do we think?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Guys, have a great day.
Hey,
Thanks,
thanks,
Bill.
Bill. You too.